Welcome, everybody. My name is Tom Woodford. I'm the high school college counselor here with Hilliard City Schools. I gave this presentation last Tuesday. I know that there were a lot of people who had things going on, and so I wanted to make this video to get all of this information out to you. Hopefully, this is going to answer a lot of questions. At the same time, I hope it also creates more as well. So first off, all of your kids have great support at all three of their high schools. There are 4 high school counselors as well as their high school teachers can help them through this process. At the same time, if you ever have questions and if you ever need help, feel free to email me. We can schedule a time to meet as a group and we can work through this process. So let's talk about Ohio State. I talk to a lot of kids every year who Ohio State is at the top of their list. So let's look at them now. It is not the Ohio State that we as parents might have applied to. Last year, they had over 57,000 students apply, and they are bringing in a class of around 7,400 to 7,500 students. The average ACT score of those kids is a 29.3. Of this year's class, who are going to be freshmen, 67% of those kids who actually got in are from the state of Ohio. That number is a little low, and that is because of the class of 2020. It was a much higher number at that time. So ACT, SAT. There are a lot of options left here, but we need to move forward, especially if we're looking at schools that have deadlines that are early, especially the ones that are the 1st of November, like OSU. We want to look at the ACT, that September date. August 6th was the deadline. There is a late deadline that students can still register for that test. For the SAT, the August 28th date is the best time to take it. I cannot guarantee that the October 2nd test scores will get to OSU by that time. If you notice on the ACT side, there is a test in at the end of October. That is so late in that month, those scores will not get to Ohio State by the 1st of November. So the last ACT that they can take, so the scores will get there by the deadline, is September 11th. Sending scores. It's very important because students every year, they put their scores inside of their application. And they feel like because they did that, that they sent their scores. Even if they put their scores inside of their application, that's great. But the university does not have their scores. They must send them from ACT to the colleges or from the College Board for the SAT to those colleges. And the way that you do that is a student would go into their ACT account or their College Board account, and they will have to click on the little icon, send scores, and they have to send them to all of the colleges that they are going to apply to. If they have not sent them already, there will be a fee that they will have to pay to send those scores. Test optional. So a lot of colleges, due to COVID, are still going to be test optional for this year. What does that mean? That means that if students are going to apply to a said college, one of the questions that they're going to be asked, are you applying with scores or are you applying not sending scores? And if they're not going to send scores, even if they have their scores, they won't be used. But students, if the colleges that they're going to apply to are test optional, they do not have to send scores, which means they will still look at the student holistically. They just won't use scores. Wake Forest has been test optional for 15 or 16 years. The University of Chicago, I believe this is their 4th year. And OU has made a change that they will be test optional from here on out. Ohio State will be test optional for this year. So if students like their scores, they should send them. If they don't, they do not have to send them. Now, I will tell you, Ohio State was, I was happy that they sent us some data for this year's freshman class. As I said, 57,000 students applied. Of those kids that had applied last year, less than half, 47% of them, applied and did not send scores. Okay? I'm sorry, 47% sent scores. So less than half of the students applied with scores. But when you look at the students that got in, more than half, 57% of the kids that got in had scores. So what does that mean? What that means is if you have strong scores or if you have competitive scores, obviously Ohio State values scores. So your student should send them. Scheduling visits. I know a lot of students and parents have not had a chance to do that yet. A lot of schools are opening up this fall. Unfortunately, right now, OSU, they are not giving tours. You can do self-guided tours on campus, which they can schedule for. They can also do virtual visits where students can meet with faculty, and you just have to sign up for them online. But it's important that if a school is offering them, that a student will take advantage and be on campus. So through this process, there are all kinds of terms, and it's important that we understand all of those terms. Early action. Ohio State is an EA school, which is non-binding. That deadline is the 1st of November. That is also their scholarship deadline. A student can apply to as many schools as they like. Early action. Restricted early action is another application type, but only 12 schools all over the country have this. The Stanfords of the world, the Ivy Leagues and schools like that. This is still non-binding, but you are basically telling that school, you are my first choice of those 12. Early decision. This is binding. Ohio State does not have this option. Miami of Ohio does. And what ED means, that if your student's going to apply ED, you're telling them that you are my first choice. And if you accept me, I'm coming. Many schools will choose a certain number of seats that they will fill through the ED pool. And so make sure that you understand that you might not have the financial aid piece yet. You might not know all of the finances. So you only want to do ED if you are certain that is your first choice. Regular application deadlines are usually much later. As I said, OSU has an early action and scholarship deadline of the 1st of November. They have a regular application deadline of February 1st, which means if they want to apply over Christmas break, students can do that. They can still get in, but they cannot get any merit scholarships. Super scoring. Many colleges like Case Western will super score. Miami of Ohio, Ohio University, they will super score, which means if students take the ACT multiple times, let's say they take it 3 times and they get a 26 each time. Ohio State's going to say that they have a 26, but Miami or OU or even Case might say they have a 28 or 29 because they will take the highest sub scores from various tests to create a final number for them. Okay, so that is something to take advantage of. If you're going to do that, if a school you're applying to is test optional, super scoring, then it's important you send all of your scores to that school. Typically in the fall, there is a suburban college fair. This year, unfortunately, due to COVID, it is going to be canceled. When I hear about virtual tours, or virtual fairs, I will send those out. The application process, okay? Students need to create their applications. Most of their schools are going to use the Common App. They will need to match that application to their high school Naviance account. I am hosting Common App camps. We will talk more about them. And I walk kids through this whole process. I also have a separate video that will walk students through that whole process as well. Students will request their high school transcripts inside Naviance. They will send their ACT scores from the testing agencies, but they request their high school transcripts, they request letters of recommendation inside Naviance. Again, I have a video that will walk kids through that as well. Now there's 4 different types of application. Over 900 colleges use the Common App. It is a great option. It's a great resource for most students. There's a fairly new application called the Coalition app that around 230 colleges use. All of those colleges that use that application also use the Common App, except for the University of Maryland. I think they are the only one. So I'm going to advise students to stick with the Common App. Last year, there were a lot of problems with the Coalition app. Many schools have their own application. So Ohio University, they use the Common App. They also have their own application. And then the 4th application, which I have never seen, it is called the Universal app. Only 50 colleges use that. All 50 of those colleges use the Common App. There's schools like Indiana that actually use all 4 of these. Please do not fill out more than 1 application. Those colleges only want 1 application from students. So the Common App can be found at commonapp.org. 49 of the colleges in the state of Ohio use this application. Over 900 colleges all over the country use this 1 application. Again, we are hosting Common App camps. Students are more than welcome to sign up for those. When you go to the website, this is what you will see, so you know you are in the right place. So what should students be doing? So parents, it is important that you understand this is your child's application. I do not care how busy your child is. You cannot and should not fill out your child's college application. I think it's crazy. I even have to mention that, but it happens every year. You are jeopardizing your child getting into that school. If the university finds out that a parent has written the essay or filled out the application, then they can drop that student from their school. So it's important that students understand this is their project. They have 168 hours a week. So it's important they create a schedule throughout the week so they have time to work on this application. And again, they invite their teachers. They ask for transcripts inside Naviance. My Common App camps, I've already done August 6th, 5th, and 6th. So this week, we have 3 more dates, 4 more sessions. Kids can sign up. This was sent out to all parents and all seniors twice. So after the application, after your child submits the application, they're going to get a confirmation email. So they know that the application's in. In the email, it might say, we do not have your high school transcripts. Well, of course you don't. The child just submitted the application. So when they request them inside Naviance, there's also a due date in there so the counselor can see it. so they can get the transcripts submitted by the deadline. When teachers go in to their accounts, they can see what students have asked for various types of letters. They also see the deadline. Students do not wait for transcripts to be submitted or for letters to be submitted to submit their own application. Once they are finished, submit their application. So after students apply, 4 to 12 weeks later, students are going to hear multiple things. If they get in, they're going to see that they are in. Congratulations, that's exciting. Students get to hopefully hear that from all kinds of schools, but they don't have to make a choice on a school until May 1st. Some students might hear from a college that they are deferred. If that happens, that's kind of like maybe. That means they're going to read the regular application students and then come back and reread their application. If a student gets waitlisted, then the student has a choice to stay on the wait list or to come off of the wait list. If they choose to stay on the wait list, then that college will look at how many seats they have left available after May 1st, and then they will go to their wait list of students and come back to them. Sometimes students might not hear from a school until June. And so many times they've already said they're going to go somewhere else. So if you choose to stay on a wait list, you might not find until later. And then if you choose to go to that school, you might lose your deposit at the first school that you had said that you would like to go to. Remember, senior year does matter. Kids that get accepted in February, January, at any time of their senior year, nothing is finalized until those colleges get the final transcript. So if they get the final transcript in June and students slack off second semester or drop a bunch of classes, those colleges have the choice to change their mind. Kids get letters in June saying they're no longer accepted to the college they've already said they want to attend. That happens every year. We want to make sure everybody's clear. Senior year does matter. So social media. Social media is a big part of everything right now. College admissions reps are going to friend your kids on Facebook as well as Instagram and things like that, because they can get all kinds of information to you and your child quick, and it's very easy and it's cheap. At the same time, they can also monitor what your kids are posting on all of those websites. If you think social media is not being used in the college process, you are kidding yourself. So make sure that your kids are posting things that everybody in the family can be proud of. So what should the high school counselor, what should they be doing? They will submit the high school transcripts. If your kids are applying to a college that mandates a letter from the high school counselor, they will make sure that gets done as well. The child needs to speak to their high school counselor in case that needs to happen. They will submit everything, transcripts and things like that, all through their high school Naviance account. If the college your child is applying to needs a mid-year report, which comes out in January, they just need to stop in and see their high school counselor. They can fill out that form and make sure they have all of their up-to-date grades from the mid-year point. And then we're offering all of these high school meetings. Feel free to take advantage of those. And if you need to meet with me or them, feel free to email us and we will help you through this process. So I talk to students every day and I tell them, you have all the power. on how your parents are going to respond to this college application process. They're either going to be a helicopter parent or they're going to be a submarine parent. Helicopter parent is if the mom or dad are asking questions to the child, have you started your application? Have you started your essay? And if the child answers no, well, that parent's going to ask again. They may use different words, but they're going to ask again. The parent has no choice but to become that parent. But if the child is letting the parents know, keeping them informed on what they're working on, when they plan to be finished, letting them edit those things, then the parent can be that submarine parent, which means they're around, they're stealth-like, they're all-knowing, and they're ready to take action if needed. So students, seniors, you have the power. So I would encourage you to keep your parents involved in this. This is a tough time, not only for you, but it's also a tough time for them as they are moving, as you guys are moving through this process, they're getting closer and closer to you leaving home. That's going to change everything at the house. So wanted to share this too. So it's important that these are 10 things that kids have done over the last 10 or 15 years that have hurt them through this application process. Students, this is not the time to get shy. It's important to share all of your information inside of the application somewhere. When it comes time to write your letter, don't write, your high school essay. You don't want to write it based on what you think that they want to hear. You want to write it so the reader has a better vision of who you are. So you don't want to make it any kind of cookie cutter type of thing. You want to be able to write this so the people that are reading it have a true vision of who you are. If you have new information, you get into National Honor Society as a senior, you become a leader in a club or a captain of a sports team, feel free to reach out to the admissions officers and update that, and they can put that in your file. Colleges are going to reach out to students via email. They need to make sure they are checking all of their emails. Students, do not apply to colleges that don't have your major, or don't apply to colleges just because your aunt may have graduated from there and they would like to have a picture of you holding up the sheet of paper saying that you have gotten in. That's wasting your time, and that's also going to waste money because every application will have a fee. So if you have questions, when I say you, I'm talking to the students. If you have questions, you always want to reach out to the college rep that you have spoken to in the past. Every time you reach out to them, every time you speak to them, they take note of that. And that is demonstrated interest. A lot of schools like Case Western, they track when students have been on campus, when they have answered their emails, when they have spoken on the phone. They keep track of all that. When you're speaking to them too, you also want to make sure that you're asking questions because you want to have the full scope of understanding of everything that is out there and what that school is going to offer. Slacking off. There's a thing called senioritis that happens. We cannot allow that to happen. Missing deadlines. Deadlines through the college application process are not the Hilliard soft deadlines that everybody has kind of works with every day. Ohio State, the 1st of November, everything has to be in their system. If you don't submit till the 2nd, you cannot get any scholarships. Your application now gets moved to the regular deadline of February 1st, and it will not be read until February 2nd. It does not matter how busy you are. Deadlines are deadlines. They need to be in. And the number one issue are the students not filling out their own application. Again, soft deadlines, these are not. It's important that we meet all those deadlines. I would say you want to set a goal. If you're applying to Ohio State, you know when that deadline is. I would set a goal for yourself to have everything finished and submitted by the middle of the month of October. You want to have that in early. There's a lot of data going into all these colleges within 72 hours of the deadline. We don't want to be in there just in case something happens. Students have a chance to look at all the schools that they have been accepted to, look at the final financial aid offers in the month of March as well as April, and then they have until May 1st to make a choice. So we will have a financial aid meeting September 28th at 6:30 over at Darby. We will go over the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Parents, you cannot begin filling this out until October 1st. Then you will fill out the 22-23 FAFSA. You will use the income from your tax returns from the year 2020. After students apply, after they get in, those colleges will go over the FAFSA. Then they will create a SAR, a student aid report, and that will go to the students, and that will help you finalize where a student might want to go. When you apply for FAFSA, and you're going to fill out that form, please go to FAFSA.gov. Do not go to FAFSA.com. That is a scam. FAFSA will, once you submit it, the federal government will take 72 hours and calculate all of your information, and they will come up with your EFC. That is what the federal government says you can afford for college. You're not going to agree with that, but that is the starting point so parents and financial aid officers can have conversations about that from there. Every student will need to have an FSA ID number, and one parent will have to have an FSA ID number to fill out the FAFSA. On every college's website, there's a thing called a net price calculator. It's within 2 clicks of the homepage. This will help you understand what the true cost, it's going to be an estimate, what the true cost to attend that school. The CSS profile, very important. So every college all over the country will use the FAFSA. Many private colleges, a lot of schools in the South and out West will also ask for a second form. And this form is the CSS profile. This profile looks into the family assets and family income much deeper. And this will help those colleges come up with a financial aid plan. I would encourage all of you to come up with a place in your home that is college central. When my children were going through this, we made it the dining room area because we only use that area 4 times a year. That's basically where our dogs slept. So we made that college central. That's where the file folder was of all of the colleges. One file needs to have all of the deadlines. I would go to Target or somewhere and buy one of those. We want to make files and not piles. Things are going to get buried. So it's important you have all of the information from every one of the schools that your child's going to apply to in its own file. And at any time you would like to speak to me, feel free to send me an email. We can schedule a time to meet. If you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free to do that at Woodford_Tom. I send out information all the time about upcoming meetings, ACT, SAT, scholarships, and things like that. So at any time you need my help, feel free to ask, and we will help you through it. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Bye.